Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer with the ultimate thought experiment. Seriously, ask yourself, what would actually happen if friction just completely disappeared right this second? Imagine taking a normal step, and whoosh, your foot shoots out from under you. You hop into your car to escape the madness, but you literally can't steer. And the brakes? Totally useless. You try to grab the steering wheel in a panic, but your hands just slip right off. So picture this world where the invisible force of friction just suddenly ceases to exist. Everything turns into pure, uncontrollable chaos. We usually think of friction as a total nuisance, right? Like it's that annoying thing that slows us down, ruins our favorite shoes, or wears down our car engines. But what if I told you that this exact same nuisance is literally the only thing keeping our entire civilization from falling apart? The immediate consequences of a frictionless world would be an absolute catastrophe. Let's think about how walking actually works. Your foot pushes back against the ground, and friction is the invisible pushback that propels you forward. Without it, your feet just slide endlessly. Cars would turn into unsteerable high-speed missiles because the tires wouldn't grip the road at all. You couldn't even hold a cup of coffee. You couldn't even sit in a chair without sliding right onto the floor. And the craziest part? Buildings would literally crumble around us because friction is the invisible glue holding all those structural components together. Section 1. The microscopic friction world. To understand why all this happens, we have to look closer, like really close. While surfaces like a glass table or polished metal might look perfectly smooth to our naked eye, under a microscope, they tell a completely different story. They're actually filled with these jagged mountains and deep, deep valleys. And when two surfaces touch, those microscopic peaks and valleys catch, they clash, and they literally lock onto each other. And this brilliantly illustrates the Amaton's Coulomb law. It's a fundamental principle showing us that friction isn't just one simple thing. It's actually the physical resistance of all those microscopic bumps crashing into each other, combined with these super strong adhesive molecular forces that are constantly pulling the atoms of the surfaces together. I mean, even highly polished, seemingly perfect materials will try to bond at the atomic level. Now, this physical interaction behaves slightly differently depending on the movement. And that gives us our kinematic types of friction. You've got sliding friction for when things drag, rolling friction, which is what allows wheels to actually propel a car forward. And then there's the incredibly powerful static friction, or friction of rest, which is the force you have to overcome just to get an object moving in the first place. So, how do scientists actually measure this stuff? Well, in university laboratories, they literally study these friction coefficients by dragging everyday objects, like an eggplant or a chunk of pumpkin, across an inclined plane. I'm not kidding. By adjusting the angle of a wooden ramp until the eggplant finally starts to slide, they can calculate the exact mathematical point where static friction gives way to sliding friction. It is just brilliant in its simplicity. Section 2. Motion, Ice, and Machines. For generations, we were taught this specific theory from James Thomson. He was the brother of Lord Kelvin. The idea was that the physical pressure from our shoes or an ice skate literally melts the top layer of ice to make it slippery. Makes perfect sense, right? Well, modern computer modeling, led by Professor Martin Muser, proves this is just completely wrong. It's a totally obsolete idea. Here's the real reason ice is so slippery. It's not pressure melting the ice at all. It's actually the interaction of molecular dipoles between your shoe and the ice surface. This interaction completely messes up the rigid structure of the frozen water, creating what physicists actually call a frustrated state. The result is this amorphous, liquid-like layer right on top of the ice that we slide on. And remarkably, this happens even at -40 degrees. Though at those extreme temperatures, the layer gets super thick and sticky, kind of like honey. Section 3. Heat, wear, and lubrication. But friction doesn't just resist motion, Whenever surfaces rub together, energy dissipates as heat. That's why your car brakes get incredibly hot when you stop, and it's why you naturally rub your hands together on a freezing winter day. Actually, harnessing this exact phenomenon, mechanical energy transforming into microscopic atomic motion, is exactly how early humanity first figured out how to make fire. However, in our modern mechanical world, all that heat and resistance, it's a massive problem. In machines, dry friction, where surfaces directly grind against each other, causes catastrophic wear and tear. And that's exactly why engineers rely so heavily on liquid friction. By separating moving metal parts with microscopic layers of oil or gas, we drastically drop the friction coefficient, completely saving the machine from destroying itself. And that brings us to the very precise science of lubrication. Choosing the exact right viscosity, which just means the thickness and flow, of mineral oil or grease is absolutely crucial. If the lubricant is too thin, the metal grinds, too thick, and the machine has to work way too hard to push through it. The right lubricant manages heat, it cushions impacts, and it literally keeps the gears of our entire industry turning. Section 4. A world without friction. So let's jump back to our terrifying what-if scenario. Without the friction of rest, every single nail and screw in your house would instantly slide right out of the wood. Think about it. The threads on a screw rely completely on static friction to grip the material. Without it, making clothes, constructing buildings, or maintaining even a single piece of infrastructure becomes mathematically impossible. The physical collapse of civilization would be almost immediate. Section 5. Mastering the invisible force. Fortunately, we live in a world with friction, and you can actually test the sheer strength of this force yourself with a super simple experiment. Grab 2 regular paper notebooks. Overlap their pages one by one, alternating them, kind of like you're shuffling a deck of cards. Once they're fully interleaved, press down hard to squeeze out all the air. Okay, now grab the spines and just try to pull them apart. I guarantee, even if you get 2 incredibly strong people to pull on either end, you will completely fail to pull those notebooks apart. There's no glue, there's no tape. But because thousands of tiny micro-friction points on every single page are summing together, the combined static friction and adhesive forces create this unbreakable bond. It is literally pure physics in action. And this incredible force doesn't just hold notebooks and houses together. We actively use its triboelectric effects, which is the static electricity generated by rubbing materials together, to power everyday tech like photocopiers. We even use it to generate massive high voltage in Van de Graaff generators. This invisible, everyday force is literally the silent architect of our entire reality. So the next time you take a perfectly normal step forward without falling flat on your face, take a quick second to thank friction. It's the ultimate double-edged sword, right? It's the force that constantly wears out our machines, sure, but it makes human life entirely possible. If you want to keep understanding the amazing physics of everyday life, make absolutely sure to subscribe to the Code Sesvi 2 channel, where the complex always becomes simple. But before you go, let me leave you with this. If the sudden disappearance of friction could destroy our entire civilization in a matter of seconds, what other invisible forces are keeping you alive right now, without you even knowing it?